We did it. We launched it.
We launched the series.
Femininity.
The church didn't burn down.
Our world and our culture that claims to be all about women is really failing us.
Are the promises of feminism producing what women were told?
The women at Mosaic embrace their femininity and their womanhood, but also are eager to step into challenge.
Courage is not a trait that is monopolized by men.
The NIH didn't require females to be included in
Those
drug
studies,
trials until 1993.
You're viewed as like, well, you're putting people in a box. Like literally, those nations got rid of all the boxes, and the male-female dynamic still expresses itself.
Yeah.
Meaning there's something in our biology and in our makeup and the way that God has made us.
When Kyle and I were getting married, they were like, you're gonna have the same 3 fights until you die.
The man's job is not to say submit. The man's job is not to say, you're distrusting. Let's help people figure out how to process the chief sin of woman, distrust and grasping for control, when there's a good reason not to.
Just to put more language to it, it's like, if I want anything done right, I have to do it myself.
He knows that that's a very deep want within me.
Right.
And so I think subconsciously I might know if I say this, then like I win the argument.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to the latest episode of The Last 5% with your boy, Jonathan Moynihan. And today I am back with the one and only Grace Grimm.
What up?
You were here last time, and it was great.
Super fun.
And then we have a very special guest in the building.
Oh, yes.
Our very own Becky Warfield, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey guys.
Hey, Bex.
Pretty pumped to be here.
Yeah, it's great. Becky is one of our 3 kids directors on staff, facilitating the care and discipleship of 400 children plus every single week, countless families. But Becky's also just a lot of fun to be around.
She brings the fun wherever
Got a lot
she
of
goes.
opinions.
As do her husband and kids.
Oh my
They
gosh.
just bring the fun. They
But
just bring the fun.
She's always rooted in the Bible.
That's right.
So I'm like, wait a second. The wisdom of God coupled with insane fun and like kind of spicy takes.
Why hasn't this happened
Why
yet?
not bring her on?
Yep.
So Becky,
Wow.
tell the people a little bit about yourself and just real briefly how being a part of Mosaic's impacted you or what it's like doing your job.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a heck of an intro. So
It's easy for
you guys make a girl feel real
Just
good.
speaking the truth over here.
Yeah,
honestly.
right.
No
No,
lies.
I've been coming to Mosaic for, I don't know, 12 years, almost 13. And I came because my husband, who was not my husband then, was here, and I liked him, so he was going to church. I was like, I should go to church,
And he was serving
he
in
was
kids.
serving in kids. I was like, well, I should serve in kids. And one of my favorite questions to ask like new volunteers when they come on is like, why did you join kids ministry? And it'll usually be like very holy. I had a great leader when I was a kid, or I want to pour into this next generation. And I was like, well, I thought he was cute. So that's
So
like
side
a
note,
little...
fellas, maybe if you're trying to find a wife, serving kids ministry.
I'm telling
see
you.
what happens.
I'm telling you.
Boom.
Couples who serve together. Anyway, so so we served in kids ministry for a long time, and now I'm his church boss. So
Nice. I'm his church boss. And you've got 3 awesome kids.
3 kids.
Wild kids. Give us their
Oh my
names.
gosh, Jack, Penny, and Monty.
Okay.
And
Jack,
man,
Penny,
they
and
are
Monty.
wild. But
Free range.
I'm living my best life, man.
are.
I love my job as a mom.
Well excited to have you here. Yeah.
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 Well, we did it. We launched it.
We
Defiant
launched the series.
Femininity.
The church didn't burn down.
It did not.
There were no riots.
Nope.
No one stood up and yelled.
And it was great. It was a
well,
great
well.
first week. We had a lot of excitement around it. Like never a response so strong.
Yeah, it was interesting when I announced it last week, I think it was, the room cheered.
Yeah.
Like the specifically the ladies were like, "Wow!" Like they went nuts, and we're like, "We aren't used to cheering." And then when the bumper video ended, for 2 of the services, people cheered, like before
Yeah.
the sermon even got started.
Insane.
Yeah.
So you gave me good feedback because you were like, "I don't think you need to really do much to set the table to get started," because I thought I had to come up with like a story and everything, and like the
No.
tension's so palpable in the
Yeah.
culture
hmm
that was really good.
Yep. So defiant femininity. We're here. We did it. We had a whole discussion meeting, our planning meeting also for this
Okay.
series about the title, Defiant Femininity.
Oh my gosh.
Like try and say it 3 times fast. It's ridiculous. But we settled on this is a convicting title.
Right.
It's compelling and we love it. But everyone will just call it the woman series anyway. So
100%. And necessary masculinity works so well because toxic masculinity, the play.
right.
Yeah.
But that's also just the man series. Like
It was just a man series. Yeah, no one's walking around saying necessary masculinity except me.
And this is already like everyone's already referring to it
Yeah.
as the woman series, the woman series, the woman series.
This
like,
makes me like, you know, that scene in Lion King when the hyenas are like, say Mufasa, ooh, say Mufasa, ooh, define femininity, ooh, like it just.
I thought it was
I
going to be
love
more
it.
like Nemo with like anemone, anemone,
No,
femininity.
it just gives you
It gets
the
you going.
chills, gets you going, yeah.
Well, we stumbled upon something yesterday. It wasn't in my notes, but the idea that like the target of the series is to help women defy the lies of culture, but then their own insecurities. That kind of came out in the message. And I think that really does capture the heart of what we're trying to do.
yeah, it's true.
Because it's like the internal crap that you carry and all the stuff women face, coupled with the empty promises of postmodern feminism or, you know, like the hyper trad wife, don't ever do anything, just churn butter, have babies, stay in the kitchen. Also, that's
Yikes.
bad. You could tell like the room took a breath when I said, hey, this is what we're not doing.
Right. Right. You
Yeah.
talked about sourdough, and I turned to the guy next to me and I was like, I've got 2 loaves proofing in my fridge right now.
I did
It's
have someone be like,
ridiculous.
I like lifting weights and making sourdough. And I'm like, okay, good for you.
As do I.
So we launched the series. I guess some women have talked to me about how it was for them, but I know ladies talk to each other. So what's it been like for you guys 24 hours in? What were conversations like? This is not gossip, John, for giving the sermon. This is about how is the Lord at work in the lives of women, or how does this help, or what other things should we be covering? What was it like for you guys talking to people?
Yeah, and leading up to the series, I led a group, and the women in the group, when we started talking about the series coming up, were again like cheers, roars in
Mm.
a group of 10 women. They were so excited. They were like, what are the sermons about? Can you tell us? I was like, yeah, we're just addressing the problem. We're doing one on dating. And they like, there were 2 girls in my group who went, oh no, like they were so scared. But everyone's been so excited. I know yesterday I heard from a lot of people who were just so like empowered and excited for the next 3 weeks to come.
Good.
I don't know what you've heard
Oh, yeah.
so far.
No, I mean, one of my favorite things about like the women of Mosaic is there wasn't this impression that like, oh, we did this man series a few years ago or some time ago, so now it's our turn. We got to take our medicine, and here we go. This is
Totally.
not that at all.
Yeah.
It has been very much like, oh yeah, I know that there's things that I need to deal with. It's not all my husband, or it's not all men. Like there's crap that I got to deal with. So like,
Right.
let's
Right.
go. Take no prisoners.
Yeah.
Don't hold back.
I don't know if you can do a series like this without women who are strong enough to like do that work.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because if it, you know, okay, so this is bad. I had no idea yesterday was International Women's Day.
Oh my gosh.
I
Okay,
had
I was
no
gonna bring
idea.
that up.
Someone
I
brought
was
it up,
gonna
and I'm
bring
like,
that up.
yeah, we planned
Totally.
this.
I didn't
No
know. I
idea.
didn't know that. I was like, oh, this is so strategic that you did it. Also, what was yesterday? Daylight savings time. Literally the only day of the year that is 23 hours instead of 24 hours. And if that isn't just like aggressively on point, we're just like
The
the
patriarchy is so
only day of
embedded
the year.
that we make Women's Day the
the
shortest day of the year.
day of the year.
I saw a tweet that was like,
dying.
International Women's Day on the day you lose an hour of sleep is kind of like 75 cents to the dollar.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's very aggressively.
We don't
on
have to talk
point.
about the false pay gap. It's fine. We don't have to talk about it. It's just not real. When you
I
look at the
did.
data.
I'm bringing us back a little bit. I did have a friend yesterday who I was talking to. Her name is Ehi. She's a powerhouse in our church, but
Love Ehi.
she's so excited for this series. She came out of yesterday and she was like, I feel like I'm so excited to step into all of this. I'm excited. I feel happy. I feel empowered. I'm ready. And she was like, but also I'm really excited to get kicked in the butt. Like I know that I'm not going to walk out of church every week feeling like this, and I'm excited about that, which
That's- yeah.
I think perfectly encapsulates
Mhm.
the energy of the women at Mosaic who
Oh yeah.
embrace their femininity and their womanhood, but also are eager to step into
Yeah,
challenge.
courage
like this.
is not a trait that is monopolized by men. Like courage, women embody that, and especially at Mosaic, I think. Again, like some of the examples I gave at the end of women who've done like such deep work to heal and hear the voice of God over the shrapnel of their own sin or what's been done to them. It's like, I mean, I think from the overflow of what the women of our church embody, it's what enables us to like dream and get curious about what are the things we should be talking about? How do we help people?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was great.
It's
Good
going to
start.
be such a good series. I'm super pumped for the next couple of weeks. But
Yeah.
for today, I'm really excited for this episode of The Last 5% because we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the things that you were talking about in your sermon yesterday about
Right.
how our world and our culture that claims to be all about women is really failing us. And we're going to dive more into that conversation.
Great.
We're going to talk more about the chief sin of man being passivity, but also the chief sin of woman and how that manifests itself in our lives and the lives of the women in our church. And then we're also going to talk about like we said, the chief sin of woman being distrust and how that leads to a grasping of control
Right.
in unhealthy ways. And we're going to sort of both dive into that personally, just to give an example for our
Yay.
women
Yay.
for what that looks like practically. Yay.
Yay.
Love it.
We're buckling up for that.
Yeah,
It's
we are.
fine. We're both
Leaders
fine.
go first.
Leaders go
Leaders
first.
go first.
Ooh.
But also eat last. Make that make sense. There's those
I don't
leadership
know.
axioms. Leaders go first, but also
Yeah.
leaders eat last. Like, can
I don't
sometimes I
know.
eat
Yeah,
first?
makes
Anyway, it's fine.
sense. Anyway,
It's fine.
it's great.
It's great.
All right, we're ready to dive in. Remember, this podcast is an experiment. We love doing it, and we want to know if you love that we do it. So rate, comment, engage with us, subscribe, and let us know what you think. Ready to dive in?
Sounds great.
Let's do it.
Yep.
Let's
So
go.
in the sermon, you mentioned that there's women today that are living in bondage described
Mhm.
as liberation.
Yeah.
That's where I want to start.
Yeah.
That's where I want our jumping point to be. I just want to talk more about why modern feminism is unreliable. And so I
Yeah.
want to start there. I just want you guys to
Well,
go.
I grew up very much in a home that like taught, I think what the Bible teaches, that women are equal to but unique from men. Like my father did not have a good home growing up. He came to Christ in high school through Young Life and met my mother. And my mom is just like a wonderful woman of God. But my dad did a really good job modeling, sort of like he was a very big, broad, intimidating man, but also expressed like emotion and loved Broadway. And like we'd sing and listen to Andrew Lloyd Webber, who like wrote Phantom of the Opera.
Let's go.
Like, and so I had this like weird
Classic.
duality of kind of the fullness of being a guy. And so I grew up really not having like any toxic masculinity expressions. Like I was very blessed to have that. So feminism and stuff, I'm like, I never was that guy who was like, man, how come women have all these rights? Or, like some guys kind of feel slighted, like, or especially in the modern world, like men's rights movements and stuff. Like I never had any of that.
Mm.
So like first and second wave feminism of women getting the chance to vote and then having the capacity to work and opportunity. I was always like super stoked on board. Like that's great.
Yeah, obviously.
But then obviously in like, once we got out of college, because we're older, Grace, got out of college 5 seconds ago. But the feminism movement, like I said a couple months ago when Talisa was on, part of the, I guess, symptoms or side effects of capitalism is once you get money, you have to keep getting money, like up and to the right.
Mhm.
And when it comes to like activist groups that get funding, you have to keep pushing in order to keep getting funding. And I would argue that once women had an equal foot at the table, the narrative had to continue or else the money was going to dry up.
Yeah.
So, well, then you had to be like, well, not only are women equal to men and do they have opportunity as men and are they just as good as men at some things, but now they have to be better than men and now they have to dominate everything. And so there's one of the books that really helped put language around the dis-ease that I felt, which also spells disease, which is funny, was Louise
Never heard about
Perry's
that.
The Case Against the Sexual Revolution.
Mhm.
And it's a rated R book in terms of the language and the graphic nature of like what she talks about. But she was a sort of modern feminist who was looking at the data and looking at, are the promises of feminism producing what women were told, like freedom and liberation and wholeness and satisfaction?
Yeah.
And her main conclusion is it took how the masculine heart defines success, put that on women, and said, be happy the same way guys are happy. And it's just not the same.
Mm-hmm.
So for an example, free sex, I'm talking about this next week, but the sort of sexual revolution, and we could talk about what brought that on, but it basically tried to make sex consequence free.
hmm
And from the pill and from abortion, it became anatomically consequence free.
Yeah.
What it did not factor is that the female brain produces incredibly different chemical responses than the male brain.
Right.
And you can create an anatomical consequence free sexual experience, but you cannot do that emotionally.
hmm
Mm.
And women have a chemical that is produced that is basically saying, this man could be the father of my kid.
hmm
Every time that's happening. Now, women can erode that over time, but like it is a huge, huge thing that happens in the brain. And it's why neuroscientists and psychologists now, all the research shows that the more suitors a woman has sexually, the greater the likelihood that she is depressed. It is
Yeah.
just I mean, and it's not surprising to us,
Yeah.
but to say that out loud, people are like, oh, what?
Yeah.
So it's just failed a lot. And all the studies about mental health and all the body positivity stuff, you know, there's some beautiful redemptive aspects of that you are not defined by the shape of yourself. But even that, people aren't consistent. They don't believe it because, like, listen to this, guys. Serena Williams just posted a before and after picture of like her new slim self because she's like on the Ozempic.
GLP-1. Yep.
The before
yeah.
photo was her during a tournament when she was the most competent female woman athlete in the world.
Oh, she's a powerhouse.
So her before
insane.
photo was
Yeah.
her at her peak powers, but she
Wow.
presented that as like a negative. And now look at me now on Ozempic,
Huh.
which is that is an example of how feminism is failing.
Right.
Man.
That Serena at her best is somehow not
Not
good enough.
Good enough. Right. Yeah.
I've never seen this picture, but that is
I'll
like,
show it to you.
just
It
hearing that
infuriated
is
me.
like, what are we talking about?
It's
What are we
upsetting.
doing?
It's upsetting. This brings us to something I want you to talk about that
Okay.
you and I have talked about before,
Yeah.
which is healthcare.
Oh boy.
Um,
Oh boy.
because there is all
You're
this.
gonna get a real
There's
jazz
GLP-1.
version of Becky
There's
here.
GLP-1. There's birth control. There's all of these things that I think women think are good for them, but
pro women, yeah.
might not be if
Yeah.
we really do the research. And I know
Yeah.
that you've done the research, and I just want you to talk about it.
Oh, boy.
Because I love hearing Becky talk about this.
Yeah,
Women's
this is-
healthcare. Go.
So
The
this is
more-
this is under the guise of feminism said it was all for women.
Yes.
But it was actually about like certain things that they wanted to advance and not a holistic expression of what do women actually need and want
of
Yeah.
of health.
of health in general.
Yeah. Because it's more than just I want to be skinny
Right.
or I want to live a consequence-free life.
Right.
It is like, what is my health? And kind of the data is like really, really shocking on this. The number of women who just when you go to your primary care doctor that said their pain is minimized, their symptoms are dismissed, is between 25 and 45%. 50% of women have had an experience of this, but between 25 and 45% of women say like, I went and I've gone multiple times and this
Regularly,
is a
this is
concern and my symptoms are being dismissed or they've been labeled a whiny woman. Like a WW is a like a medical term
Jeez.
to being labeled a whiny woman.
Ugh.
I know. Yep.
Please don't flip
Most-
this table.
I know, right? Sit on your hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's crazy. Like, if you take all of the research that has been done on medications, heart medication, sleep medication,
Right.
Alzheimer's medication, I mean, any of it, the NIH didn't require females to be included in,
Those
drug
studies,
trials
yeah.
until 1993. So all of this stuff that, and as,
All the data we
as
got
midlife
was
is
about men.
approaching me and,
Wow.
my doctor's like, your cholesterol's getting a little high and, all that stuff. It's like that. We only have like 30 years of research on that on women as compared to like from the beginning, male research. Men are so much easier to study and cheaper. That equates to cheaper.
Mhm.
Men have a 24-hour, like clockwork, hormonal,
right.
that it's very predictable. Women have a 28-day, very unpredictable cycle.
No.
And it's, I know, right? Shock. So we are more complicated, which equates to
Yes.
more expensive. It is cheaper and easier to study men because they are more predictable. So
Mm.
in a capitalist society, we're going to go with the cheaper option.
Yeah, and we're not anti-capitalism, to be clear.
We're not
It's just- but
anti-capitalism.
it is
It just is.
well, and it's a symptom where you have to call out where it fails.
Yes.
Like, I don't like the people who are like, well, capitalism has a problem, so we should be communists. I'm like, no, that's not true. But you just
Mhm.
call out where there are liabilities and you have to round out those things.
Yeah.
Like I remember you ranting to me about the number of studies done on erectile dysfunction
Oh my gosh, that was
versus
my next point.
endometriosis.
Right, so endometriosis affects like 1 in 10 women, a huge
A
percentage
lot
of
of
the
guys don't have no idea what
population.
this is.
They have no idea what this is. This is when the lining of your uterus grows outside of the uterus.
Mhm.
So
Sounds
it's
bad.
fine. It's fine where it's supposed to be. You know, the uterus is supposed to be, the lining is supposed to be inside your uterus, but it can grow outside and it can get like on every major organ. It almost acts like cancer.
Wow.
It affects 1 in 10 women, so a huge percentage of the population.
Wow.
It is one of the leading causes of infertility,
Wow.
and it is also listed on the top 20 most painful diseases in the world.
Wow.
In the world, it made it to that top 20 list.
Mhm.
There have been 387 studies on endometriosis. A couple of those were how attractive are women with endometriosis to men? Please tell me how this is scientific. This is necessary. This is
Yeah.
even a question.
Yeah.
So, okay, you may like, okay, well, it's a couple hundred studies. That seems pretty good. 16,000 studies have been done on erectile dysfunction.
Jeez.
16,000.
That's so upsetting.
Oh my gosh. Oh my, I was talking to my
So
dad about
upsetting.
this the other day, and he goes, you should really count that in the like women's pro category. Like nobody wants a floppy.
Stop.
I was like,
Oh
Jeffrey.
my goodness.
Well, I like that you just attributed that to someone, not you.
I
So now
know,
it's like,
right?
I didn't say it,
I
he
didn't
said
say
it.
it, he said it. But right, this incredibly painful disease that has long-term, like
Right.
major long-term effects,
Right.
causes all kinds of pain and disruption, and affecting a wide number of women.
Yeah.
And it has a pittance amount of study
Yeah.
and research funding that is directed to it, as opposed to erectile dysfunction. Yeah,
Right.
it's like, what are we talking? What?
Right. Well, that ties in also, we're still talking about the failures of modern
Yes.
feminism. So in Louise Perry's book, The Case Against the Sexual Revolution, and then she did a podcast with the Diary of a CEO with a couple other women. And she asked this bold question that I'm going to use next week, because she says the sexual revolution brought freedom. The question is freedom from what and
Yeah.
freedom for who?
Yeah.
And the whole free the nipple movement, who likes that the most? Guys.
Of course.
Duh.
If you
Boobs
make
are
women,
cool.
if you give a culture consequence-free sex, men thrive. There was even this studies done about bulls and goats. If you take a bull and you give him access to all the female cattle, he will have sex multiple times a day in perpetuity. If you get rid of all the cattle and give him one, he will eventually get to the point where he stops having sex with it altogether. There's something about like the male brain in nature that like needs novelty, which obviously like is true, but also men have to contain that lust, like God calls us to it. But just the dynamic between the two proves if you make consequence-free sex and make it all available, men are the one who thrive, right? Women
Yeah.
are the ones who actually like want a emotional connection more, generally speaking. Obviously, generally, not always the case for everybody.
Yeah.
But it promised to elevate women, but it basically told them you have to become a guy.
Yeah.
You have to be masculinized. That's what Christina Pazinski said,
Hmm.
which is why I love that quote.
Yeah. Sameness is not equality.
Right.
And we wanting basic dignity. I mean, I would attribute that to
Yes.
dignity of like, I want to vote and I want to have access to an education.
Right.
Very, I
Baseline.
think, yeah, I don't know. I don't have a better word than that.
Baseline civilized.
Baseline civilized society, like, and that's great. And to your point earlier of like, there's no funding in that, right? It's bad PR to be like, we had this movement and the movement succeeded, so we're done.
Yeah,
We
they
have to
can't.
keep pushing to the
Mhm.
next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And we find ourselves saying, well, I want the freedom that men have,
Mhm.
so I'm just going to copy and paste. I'm just like overriding my natural, how I was literally designed. I think of it like, I don't know, I would download something, a picture from the internet, and my computer would say like, we don't recognize this source. Are you sure you want to proceed? And it's like, we've just downloaded, sexual liberation. I want to do it like they do it. It works for
Right.
them, so this is for I'm
Right.
going to override my natural rhythms. I'm going to override, this emotional, connection that I have. I'm going to override and override and override. And now we have this, very desensitized.
Afraid. Yes.
Yes, and we have found ourselves in no man's land where nothing means anything and men can be women, and we've invited them into our most personal
Right.
spaces of locker rooms and bathrooms. And so this movement that started out as pro-women
hmm
shifted into anti-men, and we have come all the way around. So now it is anti-men and anti-women
Right.
because they can compete in sports and, again, being invited into very personal spaces. And
Right.
it's like, this is because there was no like, hey, we have fought for this good and just and righteous
hmm
thing, but we couldn't just say like, hey, we've succeeded and now we're done.
Yeah. And there's now no shared vision
Yeah.
of what is,
Yes.
and we're constantly just pushing,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and that's where, I mean, I think the inability to articulate core differences,
Yeah.
generally speaking, for men and women, has eroded the chance for us to be clear about what is what.
Yes.
And I know that I was listening to a psychologist talk about this. Like in Scandinavia, they're really open, meritocratic, or they want everyone to have equal opportunity all the time. So there's no forced outcomes for men and women because it's a very sort of open and liberal city or countries.
Mm-hmm.
In those nations where there's like total opportunity for everybody, it still is like 85% women in nursing. You
Yeah.
don't have to push it. It's just
Yeah.
women naturally flock to that, and it's like 70% male in engineers. It's like, but if you were to bring that up in certain circles today, you're viewed as like, well, you're putting people in a box. I'm like, literally, those nations got rid of all the boxes, and the male-female dynamic still expresses itself.
Yeah.
Meaning there's something in our biology and in our makeup and the way that God has made us that speaks to this.
Yeah.
Let's see that for what it is, own it, instead of trying to make, and this, raising up boys, modern society has tried to make men women,
Mm-hmm.
try to make them
Yeah, the
like, the
feminization of
feminization of men, and
you
then
have
the
to be in touch with your
masculinization of women.
feelings. You have to be in
Mhm.
touch with your feelings,
Yeah,
and
and
I'm not
yeah,
talking about emotional intelligence because that is yes,
totally.
this is should be a requirement for all.
Yes.
But you have to be able to like express yourself differently, and violence is unacceptable in any being physical in any
bad in any
regard is
way, yeah.
bad. I've had to deal with this with my youngest son, who was just a kid to the max,
Yeah.
and everything is full steam ahead. And so sitting in a classroom still all day is like he comes home and he has to slam his body into the nugget couch over and over because he just but there is no
hmm
ability for him to like express himself appropriately at school. So
Yeah, I to put a pin in this, I think one of the failures is we tried to feminize men
yeah.
and then masculinize women.
Yeah.
That's what's been happening. So,
Yeah.
and obviously we're talking about the ladies specifically, but
Sure.
it just hasn't worked. Helen Andrews wrote that article that I mentioned yesterday. She went nuclear viral because she said feminism plays to women's neurosis, not their well-being.
Say more about that.
Yeah.
Well, she said that the modern feminist movement doesn't actually lead to health for women. It kind of plays to like your anxiety and desire for control and wanting to like overcome. And her argument is that a lot of the snowflake victimhood mindset stuff is all rooted in the female power play to overcome men because they don't have the physical power, but now institutions enable emotional power to be weaponized.
Mm,
So it's like,
fascinating.
it's
Yeah.
like in major institutions where women are all in control, physical violence is no longer on the menu, which is a good thing.
Yes.
But now the weaponization of emotion is
Mm,
something that, like, when boys fight, they fight with fists. When girls
yeah.
fight, they fight with words. Now
Yeah.
major institutions are filled with that.
Yeah.
So she just kind of goes into it, and that neurosis word is like a little bit triggering, like a little explosive, but she's basically saying it empowers your worst impulses to take control
Yeah.
instead of learning this balanced dance, which is what happens when men and women work together.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you and your husband
Interesting.
are at your best when you're both regulated, you're both present, you're meeting each other's needs, but also bringing to the table what you bring to the table. But then it goes real bad if one gets everything that they want, or the
Yeah.
whole institution rewards only the feminine, never the masculine, or only the masculine, never the feminine.
Yeah. That makes me think of like weaponized incompetence is like a term that's been thrown out. It's like
Mhm.
men purposely I don't know how to load the dishwasher. I
Right.
don't know how to whatever. It's like, yes, you
You're not an
can.
idiot.
You're not an idiot. The female version of that is like weaponized anxiety or weaponized emotion.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what comes
No,
online
but
for me.
Yeah, she wrote about it, and that's what she's getting at.
Yeah.
Is that the institutions now? It used to be, man, if you didn't play golf, you couldn't get ahead. You know, and
Yeah.
like, and I get like you need to create an environment where competency is what is rewarded, not I can smoke cigars and drink bourbon with the guys.
Right.
But now
Yeah.
it's flipped, where if you don't placate to the potential of someone having anxiety, because
Yeah.
because the dynamic at work is so conflict
Creating safe
averse.
spaces
Yes,
and all.
and
Yeah.
all of that has happened, is what she
Mhm.
says.
Yeah. I feel like
Interesting.
Not
especially
everywhere, but
Fascinating.
it's
Yeah.
especially now in like a post-COVID,
Yes.
like sensitive to emotion, sensitive to what feels like everything sometimes, kind
Yeah.
of climate.
Which I think is a disguised prejudice towards women, that they can't handle conflict.
Oh yeah.
It's, you know, it's such a
Yeah.
low bar of what women are.
Yeah.
Well, oh, and I reject that. Things just don't go well when that happens.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Also interesting. But
Oof.
okay, so we've covered a lot.
We will get canceled.
We've covered a lot. We've talked about the problem a lot, I think.
Yep.
But what I want to get to is like, what do we do about it? You know, what do we do about all of these things that are sitting in front of us? You know, do you feel this too? Like,
Oh yeah.
there's so many problems. I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Maybe step one is like crazy concept, but acknowledge we can't do everything by ourselves.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
Like,
that whole thing. I get such a just the yuck, the ick. There we go. I'm cool.
There we
I
go.
can say that.
Gen Z.
The ick. I get the ick when people say, "I'm just trying to bring awareness." I'm like, that's crap. That is crap. That's
on.
code for I want to talk about it, but I don't want to be about it, because
Sure.
that might require I actually have to change something about myself.
well, look, I love to
okay, here
say.
we go. Sorry, I just
I
wanted
saw a
to
woman
take that
online who was
over.
like, let's stop raising awareness.
Let's just stop.
Let's just stop.
Oh, I think I saw that right after the like, do you ever just want to go back to like Susan B. Anthony and be like, shh?
Terrible.
Isn't that awful?
Shh. Grace, you
I
were
mean,
saying something.
no. I'm
Sorry,
just
you might
saying,
want to
like,
cut that.
That's great. Keep it.
when it comes to like, what do we do about this? I do think step one is like acknowledge that we
Yeah.
can't do everything on our own. When we decide to grasp for control, I don't think that leads to much flourishing after that. And I
Mhm.
love to say that out loud. Like we
Yeah.
should stop pretending like we can do everything on our own. But
Yeah.
I suck at it.
Yeah.
Well, you still believe
In real life.
I have to.
In real
Right.
life,
Right.
I
Well-
act the opposite.
Well, the deeper thing is, it's not just that you believe you can do it all. It's not just like, okay, I can do it all. It all stems from a wound where you believe I have to do it all to feel safe, enough, worthy, loved, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It doesn't come from women just being told, oh, you can be anything. It's deep down, there's a wound there where you have to be everything for that wound to be healed.
Yeah.
There's a comedian I couldn't show in the message, but she talks about how women were told they can be anything and be everything. And she's like, all is too much. You've never gone to a buffet and eaten a lot and then said, I feel great about myself.
Oh yeah.
Like all you can eat
Never.
buffets are not where you feel good.
Never.
But that same thing has happened. And I do think even the idea of doing a sermon that challenges women about like where things go wrong is scandalous, because women already carry so much crap. But also the idea of telling a woman that like they inherently have flaws like you do men. Like everybody just gets really uptight about it because you're not allowed to say women have flaws. And you know, one of the services I did this bit about how like in the Marvel movie, Captain Marvel,
Oh yeah.
the movies stink because she has no flaws.
Yeah.
I think Rey from
Boring.
Star Wars is kind of boring.
Boring.
You telling me she can fight Kylo in episode 1? Like the first one? No, get out of here. A great character arc requires brokenness and flaws and dysfunction.
That's good.
But it's scandalous to be like, this character is a woman and has problems.
Right.
Yeah.
But there are good examples of that in cinema, where like the Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley is great because she clearly has like this chip. She's defensive, she's antagonistic,
Mm.
and then there's like this arc where she softens, and that's why it's a great story.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to do that.
There's a
Yeah.
need in culture to like feed to this desire for women to have power, and all of this. What you're saying is,
Right.
it's like, what is that without? What's a character arc without a challenge?
Yes.
or a roadblock to hit.
Right.
Like if it's just I'm powerful and I'm enough. We talked about this too, where like,
Mhm.
when the men get a sermon in church, it's like
Step up.
be a man. And then for the women at all the women's conferences I think I've ever been to, it's like you are
Take a nap.
a daughter of the
Put some
one true
cucumbers on
king.
your eyes.
Which is
Let's-
true.
Yes.
I'm saying I like
There's
a good
nothing
cucumber,
untrue
Yeah.
about
but
it.
also, but yeah,
Cucumbers in your eyes?
Dear Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those can be good.
Yeah, and that's not a dig. I mean, I love a good spa day. So,
Totally.
you know,
But it's not like we don't need those messages. Like
yes,
every woman
it does a
needs to be told.
disservice to us to think we are too weak to face
Right.
some weeds in our garden, some serious.
Right.
You know, this is my knee-jerk reaction.
Right.
This is my instinct, and is creating problems.
Right.
So
And I think the role of the church is often, I had a mentor say, to zig where the culture is zagging. So if the culture is really big on like pressuring you guys to be everything all at once, the church should be a place of rest.
mhm.
But if the culture is saying you are enough, everything's great, don't worry about it, everything's fine, then the church's job is actually to push. It's a counterbalance deception and lies that exist in the world. And I think that's why in some of my preaching for masculinity, it was like step up, be a man, but it was also like write your wife a poem, like do the dishes, because culture was putting out such a stark message. So we have to
Yeah.
do all that. And to like you were saying, confronting the problem, the whole big point of Sunday's message was, I'd say, giving language to a key dysfunction. Every woman was like, the moment we say it, you're like, oh yeah, especially those that are in romantic relationships, because it gets, just when you're living in proximity with a guy, that contrast is so big.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But that's where I think the value of just calling it out, like you guys were saying,
Yeah.
and believing women are courageous and strong and capable.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, do we need to hear that we're enough in Christ? Yes.
Totally.
Do we also need to hear the ways in which we can grow as followers of Christ? Yes.
Yeah.
Like both can be
Yeah.
true at the same time. I think it's easy for us to say, like, we're human, we're not perfect, real humans need help. That includes women.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
we're afraid to say that. Like,
Right.
women, you need this too. But your sermon, yes, it did. Like, it gave language to, I think, a familiar tension for a lot of us in that, the church is quick to talk about the chief sin of man is passivity. We're not so quick to say the chief sin of woman is distrust, which leads to a grasp for control. The language in that is so good and so
Yeah.
like clarity giving. Even when I look internally and I go, oh, like I talked about in the podcast 2 weeks ago, like how I desire control, even in ways
That's
that
right, you
I don't.
did.
And so when you said that, I was like, oh, like, okay, it's because I
That's
don't
right.
trust, maybe if we dig really deep into like why I
Yes.
wanted so badly to like lead my husband in a different direction than he was wanting to go. This might be going like way too deep into something that's very surface level, but like, do I not trust my husband? And so I'm grasping for control in some areas of my life. It was very uncomfy. I was sitting there like, ugh. I don't know, Becky, like tell me just how
Make
that
Grace
hit
not feel alone
for
in
you.
that.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Somebody
no, you're
else,
not
please
alone.
start talking.
No, this is someone like when Kyle and I were getting married, they were like, "Hey, you're gonna have the same 3 fights until you die," and I know.
Talk more.
So like the conflicts that we have in our marriage, they might take on the appearance of something else. It might be about dishes. It might be about schedules. It might be
Right.
about this decision that's in front of us or whatever. But really, we only have 3 fights because they all boil down to the same like root cause.
Right.
And so I know, right? And control, my distrust of him and my reaching for control is one of those fights
One of
that
those
we
3.
return to all the time.
Woof.
Mm.
The number of times he has, and look, I married the most steady Eddie, dependable, like what a man. I married up. I cannot sing this man's praises enough.
Please.
I cannot. Gosh, God is so kind to me.
I love it.
But the number of times he has said to me, you know me. You know me, and you know that I love you, and I love this family, and I will do anything for you.
Gosh.
Why do you not trust me? Why do you not act like that?
Dang, Becky.
I don't love that.
Yeah.
And it's even worse. Like, it's,
It's
it's
hard.
one thing to say that in your kitchen, another thing to say that on a podcast. So,
It's
anyway.
so true.
Well,
But
and
but
also-
it is that is we keep coming back to this over and over and over again because yes, I say with my words, and I genuinely
Totally.
genuinely believe that this is the most trustworthy man on the
That's
planet.
great.
But I act differently.
Yeah.
It's true for me too.
I act differently.
Yeah, you were raving about Mason. And you're like, I
Mm-hmm.
think he's the most sacrificial man in our church. And then you're like, but you need to walk where I want to walk.
Right.
Yep.
It's not an easy tension to manage because he's so wonderful. And I
Yeah.
have no reason, when I look at it's helpful for me when my thoughts don't match my like when the data doesn't match my feelings. When I go, okay, well the data suggests Mason sacrifices for me, he loves me, he cares for me deeply. And then I go, but he doesn't actually want to like come to my defense when things go wrong or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
in my deep rooted place, I don't.
Yeah.
It's not easy for me to trust him, even though I want to so bad. It's like Romans 7. I want to do what's right, but I can't.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm curious about what your wife thought of.
Well, let me
this
wrap this
too.
thing up
Yes,
real quick
yes,
before
yes.
you go to
Close the
Stephanie.
loop.
Because I think it's important to also round this out. Because the other thing is true, like, your man like loves you, wants to sacrifice for you, but there are times when you have to be like, you are being passive.
Yes.
Like, but
Sometimes, yes.
but there's times you want to do that. And I think that the hard thing here is the words I gave of like male being passivity and women distrusting, the same way the word submit in Ephesians 5 is given to the wife as the husband submits to Christ. That's the verb that the woman owns isn't put on her.
Mm-hmm.
Like the man's job is not to say submit. And I think it's important. The man's job is not to say you're distrusting. Or it's not your job to say you're being passive. It's almost, these are words of ownership and sin that really works best when we choose to make it our problem and deal with it, and then out of love serve well. But you and I both know conflict's not going to go well when we are weaponizing the chief sin against each other.
Uh-huh.
Nope.
And I think, I was talking to Stephanie, so this kind of answers. I was talking to
Yes.
Stephanie, and then I was talking to Amanda Weichel, who's coming in a couple weeks, about how this manifests for them. And they said the hardest time to trust God is when you see your husband failing at his God-given assignment.
Oh.
Because like when I or her husband Nick is not being who they know we are,
Yeah.
that's when the trust is most necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean you stay in the house if you get hit or something. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean you tolerate sin and bad behavior. Trusting God is not, well, he'll keep drinking, it'll be fine. Like, we're not saying that. But when your husband fails, choosing to extend the new mercies you are given every day to him, and then lovingly from that forgiveness approaching him about something, that's so different than like coming in with all this anger and rage.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's so much good in pre-deciding to forgive so that when you do bring up something, it goes better. I don't know how to articulate it other than it changes your posture, it changes your approach, it changes your language. That's why taking a break when you've been let down before having the conflict can be good. But I do think there is that tension of like the people in the room who maybe aren't married to a Kyle or a Mason,
Yeah.
who are like, okay, you're calling me to trust God and, not seek control of my husband, but he's passive a lot. That's the dance that's really difficult.
Yeah.
Um,
I think even just hearing you talk about this, something that comes online for
Yeah.
me is like, right, as wonderful as Kyle is, like, yes, he does have shortcomings. And I will find myself controlling the environment, the situation, our children proactively. Oh, I think I'm being so proactive about this because I'm just going to remove the opportunity for him to
right.
be angry or,
Mhm.
whatever. And that is not, I'm not actually addressing the problem with the source
Right.
in love.
Right.
I am seeking to manipulate and control all the other parts of the situation so that I get the outcome that I want, which is
Whatever it is
peace.
that day.
I mean,
Right.
yeah, whatever that
All
thing
right. So
is.
let's do this. This is very good. Okay, let's do this. This is good.
There you go.
Yikes.
We're gonna try to make this really relatable. And you guys are strong women. You girls, not guys. You girls are strong women of courage and vulnerability. So let's do this. So let's help people listening figure out, and this is true for men and women, but specifically we're talking about the feminine side. Let's help people figure out how to process the chief sin of woman, distrust and grasping for control, when there's a good reason not to,
Okay.
like you said. All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to pick on this example of, let's say, the flare of distrust comes up and control comes up. Okay. You just said, like, you'll do it through like these sneaky ways.
Yeah.
You're not thinking I'm going to be sneaky. It just happens.
Yes, it
Okay.
just does. Yeah.
So there's this thing in women's soul work as part of our church. This is a concept called the drama triangle, and it's how you show up when you're in an elevated state, when there's a moment of tension and stress going on. And so the three ways that, generally speaking, most women show up, and they can deviate between the three, but there's usually one that they show up as more. What they show up in these three ways, either as a rescuer, where they show up big, they swoop in to fix everything. They show up as a victim, where they kind of assign blame to things and sort of manipulate the environment by being the victim. And so there's rescuer, victim, and then there's critic, who like points out everything that's negative. They show up by minimizing others. They kind of confirm self-doubt that someone might be having. And it can be aggressive, but also can be passive aggressive. But when a woman finds herself like in a drama moment, generally she will flock to the victim, the rescuer or the hero, or the critic. And
I feel like
those
you
are
really pointed at me on that rescuer.
no.
Just feel a little
But
called out there.
these
Anyway.
this is not what you do. This is what happens in the role you take after distrust has flared and now you're seeking to control.
Yeah.
So let's say hypothetically, Kyle is shout out Kyle, love Kyle. He was on my old podcast. He's great. Everybody who knows Kyle knows, like,
Yeah.
none
What
of
a
this is
dime.
dishonor. We're actually helping
Yeah.
through your vulnerability and growth, and just the courage of you and Kyle's marriage, because you couldn't do this if your marriage was bad. Through this
Yes.
vulnerability, we're going to help people. So this is not dishonor. But in a scenario where there's drama in the home and that flare of distrust comes up, would you say you are more generally drawn to be the victim, the rescuer, or the critic?
Oh, the rescuer.
Okay.
Very much the rescuer.
Just what? Yeah. Talk about that. You swoop in. You can solve the problem. You're competent.
Mm-hmm.
You're a leader.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, like
I am the thermometer of the home. I set the tone. All that
yeah.
stuff.
Oh yeah.
Thermostat.
That's it. Yeah. Just and that if you want to, peel back more layers of that, it's I think just to put more language to it, it's like if I want anything done right, I have to do it myself. It's like I and oftentimes, like, I'm not sad about that.
Mm.
I love to be someone who is dependable. I love to be someone who has wisdom and can make good choices and carry a heavy load
Right.
for my family, for my whatever that is.
Yep.
Like, I'm not sad about that. I don't know. Maybe you'd be like, "That's sinful, Becky," and that's fine.
No.
But I think the undercurrent of that is like, if I want anything done right, and by right I mean Becky's way,
Yeah, right.
to my standard. I'm not talking about like what Scripture says, but I'm talking about to like my standard, my measuring stick of what is good and acceptable and excellent. So I got to do it myself.
And I would, even deeper than that, I would, this is true for everybody, whatever their wound is. If I can carry a heavy load, then I matter, I'm worthy of love, and I'm whole.
I've proven my worth.
Yes. And you've proven your worth, which means you are worthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Worthy of affection, worthy of belonging.
Yeah.
So, do you have any, you don't have to go back super long, but do you have any moments when you were like a teen when almost like a message came online that, like, oh, when I carry the load, enough? Like, can you think of a thing in school or like with your family when almost that message was taught to you that, man, when I'm strong, I'm worthy?
Yeah. Yeah. So I have 3 brothers. There are 4 of us, and
Okay.
we were
Where are you in the pecking order?
I'm number 2.
Okay.
I'm the only girl.
Only girl.
Though. So
Wow.
yeah, all those things about like the oldest daughter, the only daughters, they're all true. Also, I love you, brothers, because I'm pretty sure you're also listening to this.
That's
Um,
great.
but I didn't go the sport route. I danced.
Right.
Like I was even homeschooled for like certain periods of my schooling because I was in such a like rigorous dance program that started at like 1.
You were
and
on
you
a
couldn't-
trajectory
yes.
of like career dance.
Yes. But, you know, on top of that is, you know, you still need to like excel at school. And, you
Wow.
know, my parents rightfully so set high standards for us as kids. One of the messaging that I think is appropriate for dance was like, if you want to get better, you're the only one who can do it.
Mm.
It will take you hours in the studio doing the same thing over and over and over again. And there's great coaches and there's great guides, but like you have to put in if you want to get better, you have to put in the work.
Yeah.
And then swimming in the pool of my family,
Right.
you know, my brothers were banshees. And I remember like in that I sought to be the one that they didn't have to worry about because I got good grades and we don't have to worry about her or she's not, you
Firstborn
know,
girl, baby.
we're not, all of it's true. You know, we just don't have to worry about her.
Wow.
You know, we have to figure out how to get her to and from dance and
Yeah.
someone should probably feed her dinner. But like, I was the one they didn't have to worry about. And again, this is no shade on my parents.
Yeah,
I have
of course.
great parents.
Totally.
like,
Totally.
but I do think that is in this like really rigorous
Yeah.
program that I was in the family culture that I was growing up in.
Totally.
It was like, oh, I can take this burden off of my parents and I can put in the work and excel and get better and like and I wanted to do it professionally. Like that was my
You loved it. Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that I think that's where those this is my endometriosis, guys. Oh my gosh. This is where this was appropriate for the space that I was in, but it has grown outside
overgrows,
of
yes.
where
Come on.
wow. What?
Yeah, come on. Come on.
But
That's so good.
yeah,
I loved how
I mean
your
that
brain
was
just
really
short-circuited. Bop, bop, bop.
Wait a second. Yeah, but I would say then that was like
Yeah.
like middle school, high school was when I was like in real deep with
Yeah.
you know training and school and very very formative.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Grace, turning to you, when you think about drama with Mason, like any hypothetical conflict you've had, you know, and you guys are still, you know, you've never had any problems. You're newly married. You've been married for less than a year. That's great.
You're funny. You're funny.
So if there's drama, there's a victim, rescuer, critic. Which would you say you were most likely to fall into?
I sort of bounce back and forth between victim and critic, but victim is the one that's the most present for me.
Okay. So how do you show up in those moments? And this is helpful because women hearing this are going to be like, oh, I don't know if I am. And they're going to hear something you say, Grace, and be like, oh, crap. Like, how would you articulate that?
It's easy for me to point blame elsewhere, but not look within.
Okay. Like your immediate defensive response is, and you're probably really good at this, just grabbing 3 other things that could be to blame instead of whatever
Sure.
you attributed to.
But I think the overarching the thing that comes up the most often is that I don't feel when conflict arises, specifically with Mason, that I don't feel seen or heard in my emotions. And so I'm quick to jump there and make myself the victim because I'm not being seen or I'm not being heard.
Do you ever feel like you weaponize those words, even if you are being seen or heard, just because it gives you some power or control?
Not intentionally, maybe.
Totally, yeah.
But if I were to really think about it, I'm sure that there are times where I have used
That's
that
all of human conflict, yeah.
to put my trump card down and go, like, I'm not, I mean, because
Right.
he knows that that's
Right.
like a very deep want within me.
Right.
And so I think subconsciously I might know if I say this, then like I win
Yeah.
the argument.
Ooh.
which ties into the whole work dynamic we talked about like 20 minutes ago about if that is the currency of a workplace,
Mm-hmm.
then I mean, I don't know how you have, in marriage, you have to like do the deep work, but like if that is the only currency when you're trying to decide how to build this widget, it almost gets in the way of
Yeah.
the business working.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, so then same thing. Like, do you have a high school moment or like a college moment or something where like the seen and heard, or
Yeah.
you almost were taught, hey, in order to be seen and heard, I have to do blank? Like, what comes to mind?
Yeah, and I'm not scared to say this because my parents listen to this podcast, but they know we've talked about it
You and
before.
them have had some very deep convos.
Oh, you bet.
Shout out to the Kellys.
Shout out to the Kellys. Holly and Brian, love you.
Love you.
Yeah, in high school, I was diagnosed with a brain condition and had brain surgery my junior year of high school. It was a months-long diagnosis process, MRIs, doctors
Wow.
sending me to other doctors who were
Sounds
sending me to
fun.
other doctors.
Did they label you a
Let's-
whiny woman?
Yeah, many of them did, honestly. But and my parents did too. They thought I was faking it to not go to school.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And so
And they didn't know what they were doing. They're doing the best they can.
your
It's
brain
scary.
conditions oftentimes are invisible.
Yeah.
And so with my symptoms, like all I really had were my words to say, like, I'm tired, I'm dizzy,
Mm.
my head hurts. And every doctor was telling me, go to the eye doctor, go to the psychologist, go to this
Just getting passed
neurologist, go to
around.
this neurosurgeon. And so in the time that we weren't finding an answer, I was getting nothing from anybody, including the two people that are supposed to go to bat for me no matter what.
Right.
And I felt very unseen, very unheard in that situation. Yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Dang. I think the value in you guys sharing vulnerably is for people who are listening to realize the ways that you show up, and specifically from some with the drama triangle, the ways that women show up. It's not just how you're made. It's not this invisible force that determines your behavior. There are threads you can get curious about and pull that by looking at can eliminate that invisible force's power over your present day. Like your whole Michiosis breakthrough a little bit, you actually started to, it enables you to take more ownership of this way that, I'm wired like this is part of my story, doesn't define me, but just becoming more curious and aware of it eliminates that insane or invisible power where you feel out of control and conflict. And the same is true for you. Like allowing yourself, I talked to a woman yesterday who came up to me crying after one of the services, and she was really struggling with, what do I do? She was raised in a really, really strict Christian upbringing. And she's like, what do you do when like certain parts of you being a woman weren't welcome? And I think it was like the shrapnel of purity culture a little bit, which I'm talking about next week.
Wow.
But I asked her, like, help me understand, like, go back to, and I didn't go back crazy. I said, give me a post-puberty moment where you felt like your womanhood wasn't welcome. And she said, I loved expressing myself in clothes. I liked patterns and prints. So she wore a skirt that was like above the knee. Not a lot, but like above the knee.
Yeah.
Her dad said to her, I don't want you going out like that. You look like a whore. And she's like in a Christian home. And she had clearly not connected the dots between I'm not welcome as a woman to that story. But as we talked about, what did that little girl need to hear? Oh, that like, I'm proud of you for expressing yourself. You look lovely. Like, I love you. Helping her come to grips with what that girl needed.
Yeah.
You could see her like, oh, like,
Dang.
God has said to me that he loves me, that I'm creative, that he's proud of me. That, like, and she wasn't, based on what she was saying, she was not doing anything that deviated from what God says
Sure.
about being wise.
Sure.
But I think going back into those moments that then inform how we show up and come out sideways, it eliminates its power over us over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for a woman practically who's listening to this and wants to put this into practice for herself in her own soul work and prayer with God,
Yeah.
what are like key questions practically that we can ask ourselves to get curious about this?
Yeah. If you want to explore this, there's 3 questions you can write down. We could put these in the show notes.
Yep.
I think that'd be good. But which of the 3 do you most often show up as?
Mhm.
Rescuer, victim, or critic? Um,
In conflict
in
specifically.
conflict specifically,
Yeah.
right? In conflict specifically. So are you more prone to just take over because you got to make it work? Is it the critic where you just cut people down but you kind of keep them at a distance, or is it the victim where woe was me? And all of those are subtle methods of control.
Yeah.
Number two, what from your past causes you to show up this way? So follow the example of Becky and Grace. And then number three, what would it look like to disrupt that pattern?
Mm.
Sometimes, I know for Stephanie and I, giving shared language enables us to do it. Now, a loving husband cannot weaponize that. You're being a critic right now, but a loving husband is, hey, remember when you taught me about those three things? Can we talk about like which one of these might be? I don't even know if that's a good way to say it, but you have to bring it up. And all of marriage is giving your bullets to your spouse.
Right.
And when you realize that you are more prone to be a victim, giving your spouse that bullet and asking them not to shoot you, I think is a huge good step. It's just
Yeah.
scary.
It is very
Oh,
scary.
yeah.
And it'll get messy.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
But those three things, which one are you, where in the past did this come up and what would it look like to disrupt it?
Mhm.
Maybe it's just telling your friends, like your girlfriends,
Sure.
like in
Yeah.
your small group, or it could be for someone sitting down and talking with mom if you have a good relationship.
Mhm.
And like, hey, here's something I'm learning, and even then you have to be cautious not to step in. I've heard these pastoral stories of people who like sit down with their parents and tell them, here's how you screwed me up. That's not gracious,
No.
Yeah.
especially when your parents are trying to do everything they can right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's good to own how this is about you, but then want to process with them. And hey, I'm so grateful for all the things you've done for me. Here's how you can support me as I continue to get healthy. Here's something I learned.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
your parents didn't
No.
do that, and your parents
They're
didn't.
great
It's
parents.
just, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just, I've said before, kids are great observers and they're terrible interpreters.
Mm,
And that's what we are.
yeah.
We observe our lives and then we interpret the worst possible way. And then we take on all this stuff.
Yeah. That's really good.
We are so limited by our language around our problems, which
Mm.
sounds weird to say because everybody talks about their problems all the time. But really, like you said, like pulling on the thread of why do I react the way I do? Why,
Yes.
what is this message I have internalized
It's good.
and putting language to it? Well, now I'm not just taking shots in the dark.
It's great.
Now I can move forward with, okay, well, how do I correct that?
It's
Right.
great.
How do I tell my body I'm not being chased by a bear, or I can trust
Right.
this man, or whatever the point of the language is to identify the actual problem, and then I can figure out how do I correct this
Yeah.
in the pursuit of health, in the pursuit of unity, in the pursuit of
Mhm.
Very well said.
Yeah.
I do think also, last thing from me, this has to be applied with your relationship with God. Like,
Hmm.
we are talking about an authority figure that God has placed in your life to provide and protect, steward, and multiply, like in Kyle and Mason. But like ultimately, that's just like a very broken, flawed frame for what your posture towards God should be. And
Yeah.
so in your life, if there's drama, even outside your conflict with infertility, your conflict with your lack of relationships, your conflict with the lack of upward mobility in your job, are you showing up as a rescuer, a victim, or a critic? And then you're not just talking about a husband, you're talking about your heavenly Father.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
talk to him about your posture towards him, because really out of the overflow of how you're growing in this way with God, that's going to inform
Mm-hmm.
how well you connect with, a boss or a dad or a husband or a
Yeah.
boyfriend or whatever.
It's
Oh, yeah.
huge. I'm
It's
really
got-
glad that you said that.
You gotta make it ultimately about that. Because
Yeah.
if you have this wonderful posture with your husband, but then you're still being a victim with God as he doesn't produce what you think he should, you're not going to get past it very much.
Dang.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad that you said that. Becky, thanks for being vulnerable. Thanks for being here.
Heck yeah.
Dude,
It's
this is
been really-
amazing.
Becky, great
yeah,
job.
Super
I'm such
fun.
a fan. I'm such a fan of this podcast and this topic, and I love this place. So this was like
You had
a trifecta
stats. You had
I
moment.
know
stats.
she came with
Dude.
receipts.
It's like
She did.
you saw Becky get a little jazz.
Yeah. I love it.
Thanks.
Before we wrap up the last 5%, I want to tease out our next episode that's coming out in a couple of weeks.
Right.
Ooh.
In a few weeks, we have our very own, our beloved Amanda Weichel coming in
Yeah.
to
What a
teach
dime.
What a
on
dime.
Sunday. We also have a Q&A that's coming up with her after that service, which we're really excited
You
about.
can register at mosaicchristian.org/events.
Correct.
Just let us know that you're coming. No
Yes.
childcare, women only,
Mhm.
but it's going to be full probably. It's going to be great.
It's going to be so good. And then, we're just getting the most out of our time with Amanda as we possibly can because we love her so dearly. But she's going to come on the podcast, which
gonna be
is
great.
very exciting. And we're going to talk all things womanhood with her as
Honestly,
well.
we might even deviate from that.
Oh,
Just
man.
she lives in Thailand.
Yeah.
She'll be here. We might shoot 4 episodes. Who
She's got a
knows?
lot.
Gosh.
She's got a lot in her back pocket. She's been saving for us.
She is a wealth of information.
She's
And what a
it's great.
Information,
fun cat.
wisdom.
So fun.
Yes, she's the best. So we're very excited to have her. So stay close because you won't want to miss that.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. I think that's all we got for the last 5% today. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time.